Ladies and gentlemen, you are correct to assume, in fact, that it is again that time of the week, that weekly dose of everyone's favourite show on the networks at the current moment. That is, of course, Five Guys and a Gigalith. Today's show sees some interesting twists and turns and some heavy, heavy walls, which Five Guys and a Gigalith, as many people know, do not like. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's see how it pans out. So, we're going to lead off here against a Tangler. Now, if you do not understand this, Tangler makes me want to tear my fucking hair out. Mainly because it just doesn't ever die. Ever. Seriously, I don't want it to do things to me. It does things to me, and I cry about it. But Potato, he feels that he can stand in the way of that adversity. He does. He's going to get the Stealth Rock up on the first turn, and he decides here. He says no. He says, fuck you. I will not die from a critical hit. I shall stand strong. Season 2 has taught me well, and Season 2 shall ensure that I shall get off this normal gem explosion without dying, and hopefully do a lot of damage to the Tangler. Unfortunately, as Gigalith goes down and dies his timely death, it is unfortunate that he will never be able to realise that he did not leave a dent in that Tangler. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a disappointing amount. So disappointing that I feel it is it's very necessary for me to point out the fact that this Tangler needs to die and is not going to die ever until like really, really long time. But never mind, I'm going to go into Kong. Kong is going to throw ice beams all over the space, or all over the shop. I decide to not switch up the moves even though the switch is obvious, just to coax my opponent into a full sense of security, perhaps thinking that Nidoking is potentially a Scarf Nidoking, and of course, by showing Ice Beam twice, I do coax him into that thought process. He doesn't immediately know whether I am Life Orb or not, which is excellent, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to McBoss, hopefully to take a Will-O-Wisp, but in fact, he's going to lay down a curse upon me. Polyphemus, being the one-eyed giant, is, he's very, very powerful with the magics, of course, and he's going to lay that curse down on me. It's going to hurt McBoss a lot. It really is going to pain me greatly, but it's not going to be enough to stop me from just smashing things in the face. Let's take this Rotom, for example. Let's smash it in the face with a Wild Charge. Something which McBoss generally likes to do, but unfortunately, this does a disappointing amount. I'm not quite sure. Maybe McBoss hasn't been working out in the gym so often. He hasn't been sweeping them floors. He needs to get back in shape, I feel, because that was a little bit disappointing, considering that Rotom isn't too bulky when it is a floating form in the air. But I guess he has an interesting EV spread. Who knows? But in this scenario, I go into Nidoking because he's the king of prediction. Everyone knows this. It is a widely known fact, which means that he can take a Thunder Wave all day, every day, and he is so perilous and so just striking fear into his opponent that he coaxes the Rotom to stay in and once again go for the Thunder Wave, which in fact leaves me with the kill with the Ice Beam, which is fantastic. It really is, and it makes my motherfucking day. So, in comes Hitmonchan, because Kangaskhan is something that I am very afraid of, because it's bulky, and it's one of those things that doesn't die quickly if you invest it so. And this one does seem to be doing that, simply because you got the Wish floating up in the air, and the Protect, and he even carries the Roar. So, when I go for that Ice Punch, I was predicting Tangler to come back in. Unfortunately, he decided to stay in and take it, tank the hit. I really should have got the Drain Punch off there, because that would have made my life a hell of a lot easier. Unfortunately, get roared out to Nidoking, who is not going to be the most appropriate thing to take on the Kangaskhan, because it is so bulky. I want something with a fighting move. I want something that's going to hit hard, and that thing that is going to hit hard is most certainly Incredible. With the Incredible power, he is going to pummel this Tangler in the face with a Waterfall, with a Choice Band, and as you can see, it does a very disappointing amount, because it's a motherfucking Tangler. Doesn't die. Doesn't ever die. Makes me crazy. But hyperventilation maybe. But not gonna make my day. I'm gonna say that for free. So. In comes McBoss, and, you know, Flare Blitz is obviously my favourable choice here, but unfortunately McBoss is going to fall asleep on the job. Not a good day for him. It has not been a good season in general. He seems to not be performing. He hasn't been to the gym, the floors are not being swept up, and he is sleeping on the job here. He is leaning on the janitorial closet, while Tangler just rolls all over him, throwing Leech Seed at his face, and he is having more than 90 winks. It is a terrible terrible. It is an affliction because not only is he unable to wake up, but he will also fall to the might that is Tangela, something that should never be underestimated, ladies and gentlemen. Tangela is a threat, and you should be prepared for it because it will ruin your day if you are not so inclined. In any case, I know that the necessity to kill Tangela means that I have to keep Nidoking alive. Kong must stand strong against this team of defensive delinquents. It is necessary that he keeps his position and does not falter. So, I'm definitely going to want to get rid of this Kangaskhan before that thing causes me any more trouble. But unfortunately, of course, it's going to live all the hits I throw at it every day, all day. Protect, wish, la 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 la. He has some kind of complex here, like he's an Alalamola or something, because that's all that that thing does. He has Alalamola complex. I'm just messing words up because lots of letters confuse me in a very quick space of time if they are said in a sentence. So, Polyphemus is going to come in. He predicted me to switch out, perhaps, or even predicted me to not go for a move that would potentially kill Polyphemus, but I shall take on the role of Odysseus, slam a giant pole into the eye of Polyphemus, and he shall fall, and he shall cry, "What was your name?" And I shall say, "No name, for my name is the name of no man, and you, Polyphemus, have been felled." Indeed you have. In any case, in comes Incredible, who knows that his only job in this match is to draw out the Tangler, which is exactly what he does. He goes out there, he is the bait, he is the fish worm on the end of the rod for Nidoking, who is in fact the fisherman of this team. He puts out his rod of Azumarill as the bait and goes straight into himself to, of course, take down the Tangler with any move of his choice. He could Fire Blast, he could Ice Beam, he could do whatever he wants. He's Kong, he's the king of prediction, and he is the king of the jungle as well. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, that he's going to be able to take out this Kangaskhan on switching. That is obviously very, very beneficial, because of course, now that that thing's out the way, there will be no more wish passing. I have decreed, indeed, that there shall be no more wish passing. Anyway, in comes the Sharpedo. Sharpedo is very dangerous, and it cannot be treated lightly, because Speed Boost is an ability that has obviously caused certain things to be banned. Cough, Blaziken, cough, and I do not want it to be ruining my day, which is why I'm going to go to Azumarill, and he is going to double edge. He's going to throw that right into the Sharpedo's face. It's going to knock him out in one hit, because let's face it, Sharpedo's defenses are about as strong as a piece of paper, so we might as well just kill him with a double edge. Overpower, kill, might as well do it. Why not? Go down in the process, but it's fine. It's necessary, because to survive in this world, in this universe, I must sacrifice some things, and Incredible, unfortunately, is going to have to be that thing. However, one thing that I shall not sacrifice is the honor of my own Nidoking, because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that Nidoking, the Kong, is the only Nidoking allowed in this town, and I will tell you for free that Hitmonchan is the one to defend his honor in this case by going for the Ice Punch and cleaning the thing out. Unfortunately for me, Tangela is still alive, and that thing, as I have said countless times so far in this game, doesn't die. It doesn't want to. It says no. It shall stand. I shall be the Great Wall of China. Lugia shall not even take that crown off my head, because I, Tangela, I decree, in fact, that you will not kill me. However, ladies and gentlemen, we both know, I mean you and me, the singular person who is watching this video, unless of course there are a couple of people watching behind you, especially you in the corner, know in fact that Kong, he is the one who is able to finally, once and for all, bring this war to an end. He shall climb high atop the Empire State Building, shouting and shaking his fist as he does so excellently, and defeats Tangela in single-handed combat. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why, if you ever face a Tangela, don't let your special attacker die, because it is necessary. Tangela will not be killed by any physical move. It is simply impossible, which is why you cannot let things like Nidoking die. There you go. That is what I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, you can hit that like button below. If you did not, then you can leave some criticism in the comments or something of that nature. But until next time, I will see you on what will be the Season 2 finale of Five Guys and a Gigalith. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then.